Greetings. I am the Mystical Muse, and today I am able, of course, to talk to the female mystic, Nicole, again. How are you, sis?
I'm good. How are you?
I am just wonderful, and I'm glad that we have another time to come together to talk about another topic, which is a very also interesting one, and one that I'm pretty sure we're going to get a lot of feedback on. So are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay, well, we were talking about this, just the business of being a human, what humans bring to the world, period, whether it's women, whether it's men, no matter what your relationship status or sexual preference is, just the essence of being a person, a human, and how all of us, of course, we want to live out that best human expression. If I really don't understand why people wouldn't want to live out their best life expression, but we were talking about that, and you mentioned something interesting, and we just, went to talking about it from there, and I decided that we needed to do a video on it because it's connected to also one of the other programs that we have about mastering the third dimension, and it was the very interesting notion, which is, a notion that is based on deception, self-deception, that we are going to go to an elevated place of living, being, thinking, moving, without having mastered the dimension that we're already in. So I want us to go into that and talk about that today. So when you think about that, Nicole, all of the Christians call it the rapture, the spiritual people call it ascension. When you think about all of this that you hear about ascension, about the rapture, about us going to the fourth and fifth dimension, what does that bring up for you?
Well, we were talking about it earlier, and, we both of us have taught on the fourth and fifth dimensions and even, the astral dimensions and all of these other dimensions. We've taught on that for quite a bit. We've taught on it for quite a long time. However, interestingly enough, no one ever talks about the third dimension. They don't talk about the third dimension in the church. They don't talk about the third dimension in the spiritual communities or in metaphysics. Everyone's all, off into this other dimension. But I guarantee you, and we talked about this before, that if we were to go to a board meeting with Warren Buffett or some other investment bankers, they're not sitting around the table talking about the fourth and the fifth dimension. It's the third dimension, of course, it has its own laws, okay? And these laws, some of these laws are superseded by other laws. But like you said, if we have not mastered the third dimension, there is no way that we will be able to master the other realms, the other dimensions, the fourth, fifth, and sixth dimension. I did a teaching actually in one of my videos not too long ago. And I talked about how, many people have been taught, we've been taught that once we die, we're going to go to heaven and things are going to be great. But no, if we don't master this third dimension, wherever we are now, and we were just to say to cross over within the next few minutes, we're going to be in that same place in the fourth and fifth dimension.
Wow. Well, I can tell you that, no, people are not going to want to hear that. We have truly been, I don't know, we as a human race, or those of us that, are really working on ourselves, we've really been given, this is what I call it, a counterfeit consciousness. It's one that's based on what, we would even call the spirit of familiarity, meaning that it's really not the original. It's not the original essence. That's why, people can, and, we know this, just in even, talking, with our attorneys, that they are in business because people go against, transgress various counterfeit-based laws. People would call them copyright. But nonetheless, I'm thinking maybe because this dimension is so rooted and grounded on illusion, so rooted and grounded on the counterfeit, that people just see that they want to escape, that they want to just have an escapism-based consciousness and not really deal with what's going on now. It's so much easier to say, well, we're going to the fourth dimension, we're going to the fifth dimension, and just overlook that you have not mastered the third dimension. You know what's interesting to me, though, is the things that we want in life are in the third dimension. We want that car. We want that relationship. We want a better way of living. So how can we look past the third dimension to the fourth and to the fifth when the things that we want, that, like you said, that Mercedes-Benz is in the third dimension? And I can guarantee you this. The fourth and fifth dimension do not want our low-ass consciousness. I'm sorry. I just had to say it. They do not want you to bring the same trauma, the same counterfeit consciousness, the same living out of other people's ideas, visions, dreams, not being authentic. They do not want that on the fourth and fifth dimension. It just makes absolutely no sense. I just don't understand it, but I see it a great deal. I see it a lot, Nicole, and until we master this third dimension, then you're really not going anywhere else. And I think that's what the hard thing is for some people to really get. And, you know, we still mentor, so there's so many women that really want, people that really want to master the third dimension, that they're not in the area of deception or illusionary thinking, that, you know, they don't have to deal with this dimension. And those are the people that we really want. Those are the people that I love to mentor and talk to, because they have a very harmonious type of mindset. You know what? I just don't understand it. I don't understand why we are so ready to just scrap this dimension and go to a higher dimension. If we cannot master the laws and the principles of this dimension, if you have low self-esteem, if you can't get along with other women, if you can't get along with other men, if you cannot, if you're falling out because a peer, a coworker is trying to conspire against you, if you're falling out about that, if that has your time, your energy, and your essence, if you're falling out about that on the third dimension, you're not ready for the fourth or the fifth.
No, you're not ready to rule and reign over these spirits that, you know, and over these other sort of, you know, beings in these other dimensions if you can't even, you know, handle, like you said, what's going on at work. But I will tell you where this all originated from. These are just some old spin-offs of organized religion, and I'll just, you know, even say Christianity. These are just spin-offs, because see, what happened was when people were, you know, really coming out of Christianity and into sort of metaphysics and spirituality and New Ageism, it looked, you know, on the surface, it looked like this was this new, you know, this new stuff, this new information, and that it was so different from the Christian teachings that, you know, we were taught in the church. But really, it wasn't, because if you go into the church, all they talk about is heaven and, you know, what's going to happen in heaven and the beauty in heaven and the gold in heaven that you're going to get. And when you go into this New Age metaphysical stuff, they're talking about the fourth and fifth dimensions. It's no different from the teachings in the Christian church. So we have people that left the church, go into metaphysics, and are sort of chasing, you know, these ideas about being in these other dimensions and these other realms, and we've even taught on them. There's nothing wrong with teaching them. There's nothing wrong with understanding what it is. But if you're not, you know, mastering the third dimension, which is what we're supposed to be focused on, because we are still in these physical bodies here in the third dimension, then we are certainly not ready, like you said, to go into the to the fourth and the fifth and the sixth dimensions and trying to rule in those dimensions. Which we're just not. I mean, that goes against all of the spiritual laws. We're just not ready for that.
I think it's just escapism. I think it's just life is the way. I mean, it's a little too hard for some people. But see, that's why I just love, you know, the work that we do, because if we can get people to understand that it doesn't have to be hard, that it's not as hard as you think. It's only as hard as you perceive. That you can, people are mastering this third dimension. They are living great lives. They are kicking ass. They are mastering this third dimension. You can master it. And that's why I wanted to really offer to any listener, and of course we still offer to our clients, that you can master it, that you don't have to be a counterfeit, that you don't have to go back and forth with various thought beliefs, that you can stand in the belief that you have and the essence of who you really are and be okay with it. Because this is another area of contention, just like you said. For some of us that have decided on leaving like organized religion and really become more spiritual, you go from here to here, from this teacher to that teacher to this teaching, and that's really not a good thing.
No, it's not a good thing, because you're swapping energies, and to a lot of people, they're just not comfortable. They're just not comfortable with where they are. I mean, this is what this whole teaching is about. We're just not comfortable in the third dimension, because it's almost as if people think that they're already defeated. And again, you always teach on perception and how we perceive things, and we have to get out of that perception that we are defeated, and that's when we really understand, what this third dimension is about. Because there are some people that believe that heaven is on earth. It's not in another dimension.
Yes.
Heaven is, people are living heaven on earth.
Yes.
Most people can't even perceive that. They can't even sit still to even receive that teaching.
Woo, I agree. Or they just hear it, but they just don't really receive it. They just
don't receive it.
Yeah, and you're right, and that's the danger in a lot of the moving. It would really benefit the majority of mass consciousness for them just to get grounded and rooted in this dimension, to get routed, and rooted and molded in this dimension, and then we can, better prepare ourselves for the fourth and fifth dimension. But trying to escape life's problems, that's just not going to work. And we're really lying to ourselves, because the truth is we want a good life. Nicole, don't you want a good life?
Of course, absolutely. Absolutely, and understanding how to master this life. We don't just want a good life, but we want to master this life, become masters in this life. That's what we're really seeking to do, being masters. People just want control over their own lives, but they just don't know how to find it, because they're looking, like you said, with escapism. They're looking here, they're looking there, instead of just staying in place and saying, I'm going to master this. I'm going to master this relationship. I'm going to master this job. I'm going to master this education that I'm getting my children, whatever it is. And because I'm telling you, every time you run from a problem, or every time you run when something gets uncomfortable, you're just creating, 10 more problems for yourself, because you're not mastering. See, this is not what the old ascended masters taught. The old ascended masters made their students sit there and learn and go through the pain until they mastered those levels. But see, we have these people now, like you said, going from teacher to teacher. I have people asking me, what do I feel about other teachers? I don't care. I don't know, because all I know is what I teach. I don't care about what other people are teaching. All I know is what I've been taught. I could care less about what these other teachers are teaching. And you should too. You should pick one teacher and sit and learn under that teacher. Why? I don't understand. Why are people going from person to person to person? I mean, just completely that's not the way of the old ascended masters. They're never going to learn anything. People are never going to learn anything going from one teacher to the next teacher to the next teacher.
I agree. And, I think that they do that because either probably, one, they don't like what the teacher has said. It probably hits a little too close to home. Or it's in their perception, it's a little too hard. And you're absolutely right. None of the spiritual teachers of our past generations, none of them, not Jesus, not any of them, ran from the third dimension. None of them ran from the third dimension. They mastered it. They were in what we call in the world but not of the world. They mastered it. And then they went and dealt with other dimensions. But they mastered this one first. Well, sis, I am, it's always good, to talk to you. And I wanted to make sure we gave out our offer, because mastering the third dimension is key. It really is. And you will see in mastering the third dimension that, it's easier for you to ascend. It's easier for you to, elevate your spirit. It's easier for you to go to a higher form of consciousness. It really is. No matter what your spiritual background or what your spiritual practice is, this really has nothing to do with that. This has everything to do with you, your essence, the spirit that you are. And I'm just excited. I'm excited about all of our mentorship. But mastering this third dimension, that is really a supportive type of it's a supportive type of journey. You just really can't do it on your own. So if anyone is still interested in mentoring with, myself, the Mystical Muse, or the female mystic, Nicole, then, of course, you have our numbers. We still have the free 5-minute consultation, and we'll go from there. But mentoring goes from month to month, and it's tailored based on what you need, because we want to get you mastering the third dimension. That's the first goal. We can do other things, but we got to get you mastering the third dimensions. We got to get you mastering your emotions. You can't be an emotional wreck in the third dimension. You just can't.
No, every time your coworker says something or your boss says something and you run, or you have to go do a ritual, or, you have to go run and hide. No, I mean, who wants to live like, see, we lived like that for a long, and I lived like that for a long time. I remember, when I first started to really get into, spiritualism, anytime someone that, made me upset, I went home and I did a ritual, and, it was okay, it made me feel better in a sense, but it didn't do much for the situation. It didn't do much for the situation.
No, and I used to do the same thing. I was running home praying, honey, just praying, binding this and that. Girl, I was just doing all of that stuff, and it only takes you so far. It only takes you so far. And a lot of people do prayers. They do, their ritualistic types of things. They do that with an escapism mentality, because they really don't want to deal with the problem. They want the problem to go away. What we are saying is master this dimension, and you will be a master of your problems.
Right. We want a consciousness of wisdom. We want answers to our problems. We don't want to have to run and do a ritual. We want answers. We need answers how to master this stuff.
Yes. All right. Well, if anyone is interested in the mentoring of the mastering of the third dimension, then, of course, you'll have my number and Nicole's number. You're welcome to call to get the 5-minute consultation, and for us to, of course, set you up from there. All right. As always, it's wonderful in reconnecting and talking with you.
It is so wonderful to reconnect and talk to you, too. I'm just excited about what's to come. We are just preparing, to bring some heat. I mean, the heat that we are about to bring is just going to, I think it's going to blow a lot of people away, because it's the new stuff and the current stuff, and I don't know if they're even ready for it.
Well, it doesn't matter, because, life doesn't stop. So whether they're ready or not, life doesn't stop. You really have to choose what you're going to do. You're going to get in this and you're going to master it. You are going to elevate and succeed in life, or you're just going to be a reactionary person, a reactionary thinker. That's what you call them. And so it's really your choice, because life is going on. Nothing is stopping. Just like you said, there are people living heaven on earth.
Yes. Yes.
All right.
That's in another dimension, right?
Yeah, while we're trying to get to another dimension. I agree. So in our minds, we just need to have, the fourth and fifth dimension is dead. Let's just kill that for a minute, and let's just master the third.
And master the third. That's right.